Today's webinar is quite an interesting one that a product that Warehouse Partners started providing to the trade customers of Warehouse Partners, mainly the racking and storage equipment industry. PALLITE have been manufacturing this product for some 2 or 3 years now, and it's now taking the market by storm. A lot of interest from particularly the online the internet companies. So today is very much going to be a David Rose presentation, our fantastic innovation director. That's the best title I've seen in a long while. He'll be taking over in a minute once we start the presentation. But just as a reminder, we are recording this and it will be available on our website, on the Knowledge Hub, on the Warehouse Partner website once in about a week, once we've got that complete and tidied up, edited some of David's comments, of course. The presentation will take approximately 20-25 minutes. David's timed us to perfection as usual. We'll have space at the end for question and answer. So if you want to put your question into the bottom of the screen, we will go through those at the very end, and David will answer all of them, particularly professionally. I'm sure he may leave just one for me. Without further ado, I'm just going to introduce David. David, would you like to say something about yourself?
Yeah, thank you. Much,
that's lovely. Carry on, David. Let's get serious now.
I have had a couple of texts, but I've been sworn to secrecy. I'll share afterwards. Yeah, thanks, Chris. Very much appreciated. It's been a journey we've been on Warehouse Partners with for well, it's nearly coming up for a year, isn't it? And I think it's been a huge success. And I think, hopefully, I like to think adding picks to their portfolio has helped many end customers out as well. So yeah, I've been with the PALLITE business about 6 years. Picks by far is our most successful product, and yeah, hopefully over the next 20 minutes or so we can share some of that with you. So yeah, thanks, Chris. Cheers.
No, it's a privilege. Thanks very much. Right. I think that's about it.
You're in control of the slides, aren't you?
Yes, unfortunately, we did have a little bit of technical problem. For some reason, Zoom isn't allowing David to move the slides along. So if it looks a little bit disjointed, I do apologize now, but we'll be as professional as you can imagine. I'm sure David will carry us through this.
Yeah.
So there we go.
Right.
Great. So I'm going to start the presentation. I shall move the slides. David, if you get stuck, just give me a shout.
Great. I think the first thing to comment on is we look nothing like our profile pictures on the presentation now, do we? So,
well, you speak for yourself. Thank you.
Right. Okay. So we'll go to the first slide. So I think I'm just going to, if I may, take a very quick journey that I was taken on about 4 or 5 years ago when PIX started, and it was from a guy who was an expert in warehousing, and he said, look, basically warehousing has changed over the years. When they were first conceived, it was very much full pallet in, full pallet out, and you're typical of what you see. And then actually what happened is the stock holding of some pallets were coming in as half pallets. So we had this dead space in many bays. So then some warehouses try to get smart, and it worked really well, and they put in a sort of intermediate beam. And then as things moved forward, and with the advent of online shopping, it was suddenly a couple of pallets in a bay, and then above it would be a shelf with a number of pick locations, and this was kind of driving it more and more, and this was starting to manifest to be a much bigger thing. Now on top of that, warehouses were under a number of market pressures, including shortage of warehouses, which meant increase in cost, growth in online sales, massive demand for the same day, next day. There's a labour shortage, product pick demand changes, and actually where I've got the COVID logos there, they've really just been accelerated over the last 18 months. So again, following my journey through, this is typical of what I saw, and if we just go to the next slide, we can see actually the space just wasn't being utilised properly. And one of my favourite images is that one in the bottom right hand corner where it was a DVD game that had been on a pallet for a year at the cost of £2.50 a week. So and it just sat there, and it wasn't picked. It was just taking up space. Other pressures, of course, you'll understand, is that with online picking, it needs someone to pick it, and the picker's time was mainly walking, and they were having to walk because they had to pick far on a field. And you know, as one person said to me, if we can reduce that walking time, we can massively impact the cost of trying to run a warehouse. So trying to come up with something to make it a bit smaller, if you like. And obviously pick accuracy, and again, these are real photos that I took. This is typical of what I saw in a warehouse, and no segregation between products meant that products were getting lost, or wrong picks were being chosen, which could mean warehouses, if they're a third party warehouse, were being fined. So again, this is another issue. And you know, one of the last main ones are things like awkward load. So example, they're ironing boards or car doors. You know, how does a warehouse try and store these without getting damaged, making it easier to pick, etc. So they were the main sort of challenges that we had, and what we came, if we go to the next slide, Chris, what we came up with was something we call PIX. And we're not saying PIX is the answer to everything, but you know what, for some things it works really well. So what is PIX? It's a very strong, flexible, long-lasting, movable, bespoke size unit that allows warehouses to house small, slow, medium moving products in their warehouse, but maximize that space. So we're trying to concertina up these products into a tight as areas as we can. Incredibly fast to build, and we'll show you a video a little bit later on just to show you how fast it can be to build. And if we go to the next slide, you know, we have got, for those of you who want a bit more in depth on this, there is a video, and I'm sure Chris will share it after this, which just explains all about PIX and how it came about. So and there's me again. So we can't have enough of me on a video, can we? So if we go to the next slide, we as a business, we do try and be doctor, not drug dealer. So what does that mean really? It means, you know, we're not selling something that isn't right, hopefully. So we try and listen as much as we can to what that customer needs, and we try and prescribe the right thing. Sounds a bit cheesy, but actually it works really well, because sometimes we're very comfortable with the fact that PIX isn't always the right answer. So when I go into a warehouse and somebody has something like this, and they want to fill that space, clearly some of the parameters are understanding what that bay width, that bay height, and that depth is, and you know, assuming that they want to maximize all that space. How many pick faces are needed? Do they need flexibility to be able to future-proof it? It's essentially finding out what's wrong and what's trying to be achieved. If we know those two things, then hopefully we can come up with something that works. So that's a typical sort of in-bay operation. And if we move forward to the next one, the other option is that if it's not in a bay, it's probably on an open floor or on a mez, but very much the same thing. So, you know, what's wrong and what's trying to be achieved, and that will help us to come up with a PIX unit that is going to be exactly right for that site. So thanks, Chris. Have got some case studies, so we're just to try and bring it to life. This is our very first customer. It was a K&N site, and what they did, they trialed 30 what we call PIX 12 units. So it's got 12 pick faces. It's just to give you an idea, each unit is 1200 mil wide, 1000 mil deep. So it sits on a UK footprint, and it's about 1.94 meters high. So it sits nicely in that bay. Now they trialed 30 PIX units. And what they were trying to do is consolidate that space. They recognise the top picture from earlier on. What these guys are really good at is understanding data and understanding pick efficiency, and it improved their efficiency by 54% from a combination of just people not having to walk as far, to putting stock away, doing stock take, etc., and finding the item faster as well. So that was a real success, and they've since rolled out some more of those. This is quite a different scenario. This is a fashion retailer. They needed a twin style unit where they could house lots of different items in a tight area. And to give you an idea, in each of that 12 by 10 footprint, they've got 96 different pick slots. each of those units incredibly fast to build, took about 5 or 6 minutes, and in a very short space of time, from time of order to us being able to deliver that, literally only took 2 weeks. So what that helped them out, because they were looking at metal options that proved too expensive and also a long lead time. This was a couple of years ago. You can imagine how that lead time has just extended now. So actually PIX really came to their aid. This is again, a photo you've seen before, but trying to utilize open space. So this is a mobile phone warehouse, and when you got a new phone, everyone wants it. They were putting the pallet of these phones on the floor, and they were picking, and that pallet would only last a day, and they would then replace it with a new pallet. And that worked really well until the phone sales starts to die when the next phone comes out. So they were finding they were having sort of pallets dotted around the warehouse with boxes of phones that were just staying there for a long time. So what we designed was something where they could drive a pallet into the belly of a PIX unit for the fast moving product, and have 4 small pick faces above it for the slower moving SKUs. So that essentially that consolidated 5 pallet spaces into one. So again, saved them huge time and money. This I think is the last case study. This was SsangYong cars. So they had an issue with their car doors. The way they stacked their car doors wasn't right, and they were getting damages. It was proving hard to pick. They had to take all the doors out to get the door they wanted. So they asked us to come up with a sort of a vertical style PIX unit, and as you can see, really maximise that bay space. But what that allowed them to do, it got the damages down to 0. And it just made it a lot easier for the people picking those doors to pull them out with very little delay. So again, 4 very different examples of how PIX, we like to think, has really helped these warehouses become more efficient moving forward. So we do say it PIX is for every occasion. Clearly it's not, but if it was, you can see there the flexibility that a typical PIX unit can have, giving you anything from essentially 3 pick faces in this example to up to 36. But we have, we say we have 2 types of PIX units. We have a PIX unit that goes inside a bay, and that's this type of range, all shapes and sizes. And we have ones that don't go inside a bay, and they tend to be on the floor or on a mez. And actually on the mez subject, very important to note, PIX unit is a very light unit. It really doesn't weigh a lot. It's very strong, but actually in terms of weight bearing on a mez, it's perfect. So thanks. We do have lots of frequently asked questions, and I'll run through some of those. Please don't let that stop you asking questions later on. But what's it made of? Well, essentially, I don't know if you can see, you can't see the video, but if I bang it, it's a solid bit of paperboard. It's made up of 80% recycled paper with craft paper on the outside and PVA glue. It's not cardboard. It looks like cardboard, but it's a hell of a lot stronger than cardboard. How strong is it? Well, in a typical PIX 12, for example, you can put up to 50 kilograms in each pick face. With that PIX unit being able to hold about half a ton. We do guarantee our product for 2 years, which is a lot longer than many other options out there. How long will it last? I mean, we've had product now in those very first warehouses for a good 4 years, and I went on a recent visit, and they're not showing any sign of wear and tear. They're a bit dusty and a bit dirty, but as you'd probably expect. So it will last the test of time. Typical lead time from order, I'll say 2 weeks. Production will say 4. We're probably sitting somewhere in the middle, but it does depend on volume clearly, and if it's a bespoke unit. And I just want to point out, if it is bespoke, I don't want people thinking that means it's expensive. It's relatively quick and easy for us to make bespoke units now. We got quite fast at it. We don't charge for tooling and drawing, etc. But we do have a fairly low minimum order quantity for those. Fire, again, this comes up every now and again. What we've been told and what we've done is that the insurance companies are very happy as long as we drill holes in the roof of a PIX unit. So when you see a PIX unit, you see there are holes in there. that's why, because it just aids the sprinkler system. I think the rule of thumb is if a warehouse has got cardboard boxes in, then it's probably okay for PIX units as well. So can it sit on a wooden pallet? Yes, absolutely it can. Why would you sit it on a wooden pallet? Well, it might be that, you know, the floor is just permanently wet. Therefore, you know, whilst our product is 10 times more resistant to water compared to cardboard, it's not waterproof. So you probably would want to sit it on a wooden pallet. That makes sense. Can we order spare parts? Yeah, absolutely, because that's important. Because if someone does drive into the side of a PIX unit with a forklift, you may only damage one component. You may only damage one of the walls. But why buy a new PIX unit when you can just buy a wall? So yeah, we do offer a service where parts can be ordered afterwards. Easy to build. I'll skip past that because we'll show you a video very quickly shortly to show you how easy it is to build. International, yeah, it's, you know, our product is ISPM 15 exempt, which means it can be sent anywhere in the world, and obviously, as you probably know by now, available in very different footprints to suit any type of market. So and can it be moved around? Yes, absolutely. They all come on a pallet base, and that's a real benefit, because if your customers need to move an entire fixture in a go, they can. It's very easy to with either a fork or a pump truck. So yeah. So we'll just go to the next slide. I think we've got an example of myself and a colleague, Richard, who's the guy who designed these as well, to building what we call a PIX 12. Now we're taking our time building this. The video lasts about 2.5 minutes. I don't think we should watch it all now, but you can see them all on we've got a YouTube channel, which you can imagine is ever so exciting. But we tend to do a video for each different style of PIX unit. But you can see how easy it is there to build. It's component forms. It's a modular build, and you just keep building up and up and up. So we're just putting on the next shelf. We've already put the sleeve down, and then the next job that we're doing is putting the next sleeve on, which will allow us to go up to the next level. What you probably won't see in this video, just because of time, is us inserting those dividers, but you can see the pre-cut slots there. So you can see there how easy it is to sort of build, and there's lots of tips on those videos as well. Yeah, important to understand, there are of course alternatives to PIX. So again, we're not pretending PIX is the answer for everything, but you know, there is Correx out there, and you know what, Correx is relatively cheap. It's fairly easy to build. It can be hard wearing, but I suppose on the other side, again, feedback from customers, it can't be fixed if it's damaged. They tend to be set sizes and dimensions, and they're probably not strong enough for some things. So yeah, but they're options. Cardboard bins. One of my other favourite photos is the top two photos there, which are taken a year apart. Cardboard will be cheaper than a PIX unit, but I suppose, is it a case of buy cheap, buy twice? Sometimes cardboard is the right thing. You know, I shouldn't detract from it, but you know, clearly there are issues where cardboard gets that wear and tear effect after a few months or years. So yeah, so again, pros and cons, and obviously plastic totes as well. And we know they're really strong, hard wearing, and you can stack them if it's the right design, but they can be expensive. They often need the shelf as a support, pretty inflexible. You can't change the size of that plastic tote once it's been designed. Lead time might be an issue as well. So, but yeah, totally, there are other options out there. So I suppose in summary, PIX is designed for slow and medium moving PIX. It's not really designed for fast moving product, because I'd suggest that if it's fast moving, it's on a pallet, it's PIX, and a new pallet comes in. It's about maximising that dead space. It can be for pop-up seasonal PIX, and they're so easy to collapse and build. They can be stored away very easily. PIX offers you that flexibility to change the size of PIX face, and it's very much a cost-efficient alternative to some of the other options out there. So, okay, so we've now we've got some examples of some PIX. We can just fly through these, because I think we've seen enough pictures of PIX over the years. Now we've got we've got a new product which has just been launched called PIX Slots, and so it's only literally just June. And if we go to the next slide, if you just leave that, Chris, how do we differentiate PIX Slots from PIX? Well, basically the key differences are it is lighter weight, it is without doubt lower cost because we don't use as much board in this unit. It's still ideal for consolidating pick faces, but I suppose the other key difference is it's better suited for the small and lightweight SKUs. And we were really challenged with, you know what, PIX is more expensive than cardboard. Can you get a bit closer to a strong cardboard box? And this is it. So we've got this range. If we go to the next slide, we've got this sort of range which is ideal for markets such as the fashion sector or shoes and some FMCG areas. We've officially launched it in June. We probably did some pre-sales in April and May, and just to give you an idea, we've already exceeded our annual forecast that we thought we'd sell for slots. So proving to be a really, really popular choice. And as you can see there, that image on the right, it's a slightly different build. It doesn't offer you that flexibility to pull out those dividers. But do you know what? If the site knows what they want, then this is certainly an option. So if we go to the next slide, I think we've got some examples of. I'm not sure whether we're going to call this our core range or not, because it will just keep changing because we're flexible to what people want. But here's some typical examples of a single-sided slots unit, either one just a shelf or a freestanding one. Or the next slide shows some typical what we call twin style units. The ones on the left that are ideal for example BDCM1 boxes. So we've already got lots of sites now which use those units just to slide in that box, tear off the front, and they have a pick face. Again, all on a pallet base, so very, very easy for them to move. I'll title this Just Because We Can, and the customer needed it, but this is a ridiculous example of where somebody needed 400 pick locations on a Euro footprint under 2 meters tall. So this is a real product. The customers bought this, I think somewhere in Europe, and it's given them exactly what they need. So again, nothing's really off the table. But you can hopefully tell from that it's a strong product. It's a long-lasting product. So, thanks, Chris. So I suppose we're now. This is how quick a PIX twin unit back to PIX can be built. Just to show you. So this is me working ever so hard. And there you go. So literally under 10 seconds in that example. But, yeah. So hopefully that's given everyone a bit of an insight into PIX and the new exciting stuff as well.
Brilliant. That's fantastic, David. I think we're going to stay on this slide for the moment. We've got quite a few questions actually, which is really, really good. A few anonymous, but let's pick one. Yes, Matthew Hayes. Are they made in the UK?
Yeah, they are all made in the UK. So we've got a 40,000 square foot factory. And it's a bit like we have big reels of paper and big vats of PVA glue, and it's a bit like Charlie in the Chocolate Factory. Yeah. But yes, to answer your question, it's all made here.
Okay,
which is great.
Good stuff. Another question: Can we just order direct from PALLITE? That's interesting. Or can't we? Yeah, can't we order from PALLITE? Well. Warehouse Partners' customer base is the racking and storage, manufacturing and distribution market. So anyone who basically supplies racking and shelving. We have some other customers within that. We teamed up with PALLITE because we have a very big customer base and we understand the warehousing sort of market in terms of racking and storage. And our customers are people that we can work with very well, and we can help them sort of understand the product. And that's where the expertise is in our place. That's how we sort of formulate a relationship with our customers. So if a reseller as such, it will be someone through our business. And PALLITE saw us as an opportunity to support that industry rather than direct to the end user as such. So that, I hope that answers the question. Have I answered the question, David? Is that correct?
Yeah, no, totally. I mean, clearly historically we've got customers who have bought direct from us before, and will continue to, because we're not just a PIX manufacturer. We do paper pallets and strong board crates and layer boards and pop-up desks and all sorts of other things. But so
the key thing for Warehouse Partners is the other products that work in relation to the requirements of the storage equipment manufacturers and distributors, like labeling. Labeling goes very nicely with Pallite. We've designed label systems to fit the Pallite product, and obviously we do back of rack netting for racking and solutions like that. So we're very much engaged within that customer base. What is the main difference between slots and PIX?
Yeah, so
that's a salesman's question, isn't it, David?
Yeah, I think so. So really, and this goes back to doctor, not drug dealer. If slots is right, then I would slots is a cheaper product. It uses less material, and it's less flexible. So if the customer wants something really flexible and he's going to hold lots and lots of weight in each pick face, then I'd say PIX is the right answer, and we can make PIX for any sort of size. If they're putting in lighter items that they're happy with a fixed dimension, that doesn't mean that's done by us. The customer tells us what size that pick face needs to be. Then slots will be the right answer. So I think really it's the flexibility or lack of flexibility is one, and price as well. So that's, yeah.
Another question for Matthew: is your supply chain currently okay? Just thinking that cheaper cardboard bins you showed might be in short supply currently, giving us more opportunities for PIX.
Yeah, that's a great question. We've had no supply issues at all, and I don't know if that makes us really good at planning, but I believe our suppliers of paper are not suffering the same impact that the recycled corrugate guys are at the moment. But we have gone through huge growth in the last 18 months, and we've had no supply issue problems. So I'd like to say that everything's still absolutely fine. So yeah,
good. I'd like to just add that so are labels and netting, just in case. Just in case. How do you think the current supply chain shortages around the world may affect your lead time, and what pressure do you think may come along, especially considering steel prices have gone up by 100% in the last 12 months? I guess that's price pressure, supply chain shortage, isn't it? Similar to the last question, but slightly more probably on pricing.
I mean, we've had in the first time in something like 5 years, we had to put through a small price increase on all of our products, because obviously that there were pricing pressures from our suppliers that were just passed on to us. So hopefully we've gone through that phase now. It's nowhere near the increase that the guys in steel or timber are having at the moment. So it was literally just been a few percent here and there.
Yeah.
I can't forecast what's going to happen in the future, but I think the availability of the product that we buy will hopefully mean that's not going to go anywhere near the state that steel and timber are going through right now. So
right. I think we've got time for one more question. Can Pallite be used in a chill or freezer environment?
Yes. So we have got customers who, well, our product is good from anything down to -40. I think you have, as you probably know, you've got different types of chilled and frozen environments. It depends if it's a dry or a wet environment. We've got products in dry freezers and dry chilled areas, and they perform absolutely fine. Clearly, if it's a wet fish market in Grimsby, then I'd probably suggest PIX or slots isn't the right answer. But no, in terms of operating in anything from -40 up to +40 really is a good range. So
just, did I ask this question? Are they made in the UK? Did I ask that one?
yeah, they absolutely are.
Yeah. Cool. Good. Excellent. All right. I think that's about it, David. Can I just thank you very much for joining us today?
Pleasure.
I know you've taken most of the presentation. I think moving on, just as a reminder to my warehouse partner customers, obviously don't forget we offer a range of services and support. And the main thing at the moment is making sure that we look after you. On-site visits if you're required. We have a technical sales support team who do know about PALLITE, who do know about labeling, do know about netting, line marking, anything you need to know, they'll join you on site. Technical data sheets, a lot of marketing collateral, which is available to you free. We can brand it if you need. Installation advice and videos are all online. Drawings, AutoCAD support and samples all provided. In fact, we have some sample boxes being delivered as we speak, coming out from Warrington to a lot of our customers so that you have the right information. So a lot of support there. Small reminder about the next two webinars. We've done 3, got one at the end of July for line marking, which will go through all the different preparations that are available, a little bit more knowledge. We don't want to make you experts. What we want to do is give you an awareness so you can add value to your sales, but we can give you the backup to be able to get those orders over the line and then deliver them efficiently. And the last one is about integrated warehouse solutions, which will be a little bit more detail about combining all the products we do to satisfy a lot of the new customers are building new warehouses. If we can get in early, we can really design the most appropriate integrated warehouse solution for your customers. So there we go. A big thank you from David and myself. We'll see you.
Thank you for joining.
Thank you, David. You may speak now.
Yeah, thank you for joining, everyone.
That's great. Thanks very much. Take care, everyone. Goodbye.